Yo, what's going on, guys? And today, of course, we got to talk about this news. If you guys don't know, my girlfriend's actually lives in Colorado. She's right now deciding between transferring between Miami and Denver for law school, but either way, lives in like Centennial. Why are we even talking about this? Michael Malone is allegedly not seeing eye to eye with the front office. And why would he? They're not the same front office. I mean, they are, but like Tim Conley brought him in. Yes, Calvin Booth is a Tim Conley disciple and same regime. But you know how it is. Whenever the boss leaves, and even though the new boss might have been someone who's here, it's just a different dynamic. Besides that, one could argue some of the moves since they've won a championship have been questionable. Because, again, let's be honest. The championship team was not built by Calvin Booth. It was built by Tim Conley, who's now the president of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So let's get right into it. Today's report's by Zach Lowe of ESPN. So let's get right into it. And I do think it's interesting when we look at it on the whole, as I think we'll read the report before we get into just what we're hearing. So the Denver Nuggets lost Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in free agency and haven't really brought an external replacement. Fans expect, as well as the team expects, Christian Braun to fill the role as the starting shooting guard. As Nuggets general manager, Calvin Booth has focused on developing the team's draft pick to build a sustainable contender. But this potentially might hinder the short-term success that is managed under Michael Malone. And that is something I think is where they're coming ahead, or like butting heads over, is Michael Malone probably feels like, well, you're stagnating us. We need to be going full in, spend as much money and do everything as possible to maximize our window, while Calvin Booth is probably telling him, look, we gotta look at the money. We gotta make sure all the dots, all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So I think the biggest thing here is probably just how the roster construction is being done. And again, Zach Lowe says that these are just rumblings, which means they're really nothing. It's just, probably just some rumblings can lead to something, but this means nothing. It's just we're talking, and that they're not seeing eye to eye. And to a degree, this isn't entirely unusual, but it's not common. And Malone is signed to an extension through 26 to 27. And Booth signed an extension in 22 when he became the president of the franchise, or whenever he took over Tim Conley's job. But his deal expires after this season. So there could be a point where, the Kroenke family just decides, is it Malone or is it Booth? I would choose Malone because the coach wins you. Now, Denver's obviously, are we going to give Jamal Murray an extension? We know Jamal Murray was not happy that he didn't get an extension. Aaron Gordon's going to need an extension too. And Denver is either going to have to go full force, or they're going to keep letting players go no matter how it is. Look, revenue sharing in the NBA is something that is, all teams pool their money and they redistribute it. So each team will receive equal revenue to the salary cap of that year. So I don't understand that then why there's this whole thing. Well, if we're a small market team, there's revenue sharing, guys. You should be able to do this. I find the whole, we're a small market team, not allowed. I just don't like that. And this offseason, they did sign Dario Saric to a 2-year, $10.6 million deal, which was awesome. They brought back DeAndre Jordan, really just to be, I don't think he's going to play as much, but vet minimum, same thing with Vlatko Cancar. Vet minimum, by the way, is a league subsidized contract. So it doesn't actually affect their cap space. So they can technically be over the cap and sign someone to a minimum contract. Now, let's talk about the guys outside. So the expectation is Mr. Christian Braun to replace our boy Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who Kentavious played 31 minutes a night, 10 points, about just under 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, 46% from the field, 40% from 3. Christian Braun last year, 20 minutes, 7.5 points, 4 rebounds, 1.6 assists. Like, if we put up the roster right here, I want to show you guys. Like, I think the talent evaluation of this team, shout out Clip. He's the vice president, or direct vice president of scouting, or director of scouting. I don't even know. You can search him up for the Nuggets. Really nice guy. Know him for like a year and a half now. Seen him all over the world. And it sucks that Deron Holmes got hurt, because I think he was going to be a big part of this. By the way, Jalen Williams, Gabe McLaughlin, and Jameer Young actually could take Spencer Jones or maybe Trey Alexander's spot, because Jameer Young's a dog. But expect most of those guys just be G League guys, while the rest are two-way guys, that similar to what they've done over the last few years. Now, it's a lot of unproven guys outside of Dario Saric and Russell Westbrook, because Vlatko, Cancar, and DeAndre Jordan really won't be in the rotation. Vlatko, Cancar is just a depth guy who is their half-court shooting specialist. So they really only have 2 dudes coming off the bench with experience. Zeke Nnaji, they gave him an extension without knowing how he is, and I think they're trying to move that contract. So, as I said, you're now looking at Christian Braun last year was averaging 7 points. And I know, after the All-Star break, he went up to 8 points. And he had Christian Braun as a starter. I believe, let's put up his stats as a starter in his career. Has averaged 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in 10 games, while shooting 58% from the field on 7.5 attempts per game, but only shot 3 threes a game. And though he usually took 2, some games he took 5. So, like, there you go, 11 points. And that's really realistically what I think Christian can be. And then you look at the rest, Julian Strawther, the rest of the roster. I'm going to take this off just so we don't need it anymore. And you got rid of Reggie Jackson, who was another 10 points a night guy. So, not that that really mattered, but it's not there. You don't have Justin Holiday either, who Justin Holiday was, say what you want, he was just a sniper for them last year. So you're open Julian Strawther. Yeah, he played 50 games last year to come in and help you. I know you brought back Jalen Pickett. You have Russell Westbrook, I think is going to eat those Reggie Jackson minutes. Cool. You are going to lose some 3-point shooting. So, and again, is last year DeAndre Jordan, yeah, he only played 36 games, and Zeke played 58. But DeAndre Jordan, when he did play, played more minutes than Zeke. Zeke, are you going to play, or are you guys going to just use Zeke Nnaji's contract to trade him? Figure that out. Hunter Tyson's a legit weapon that I think could surprise people. So I really do think Hunter Tyson and Julian Strawther can help pick up those Justin. Because the other thing you have to understand is, okay, if Christian Braun is now starting, you have those 20 minutes you have to replace. And then you have Justin Holiday's 15. So that's like 35 minutes right there. And we already thrown 22 minutes from Reggie Jackson to Russell Westbrook. So 35 minutes have to be replaced. And Payne Watson was already playing 18 minutes a night. So you assume, okay, Payne Watson, he's probably going to go to 20 minutes a night like Christian was last year. So you got like 33 minutes. You got so an 18 and a 15 now. So you'd assume at this point, like Julian Strawther is going to take Payne Watson's role. And then you're hoping, Hunter Tyson can be Justin Holiday's role at this point. It's just my whole problem, and I understand if you're Michael Malone why you're concerned, is it's the roster construction. Is when the Warriors were winning championships, let's just pull up the Warriors. Let's go 2015 to 16. I'm going to say this was one they lost. And we'll go, what were they that year? They lost. They had Leandro Barbosa. They had Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes wasn't old yet. So their oldest guys, I guess, were like Brandon Rush, Andre Iguodala, Maurice. Like they weren't really old, because you got to also understand this is like 2015, 2016. So like some of these guys. So let's go to the following year when they They lost, but then they got reinforcements because they went out and got themselves Matt Barnes, Mr. Zaza Pachulia, David West. JaVale McGee was like, I think, late 20s at this point. Well, yeah, he was 27. So we'll put JaVale. He'd been in the league for a while now. And obviously KD, but we're going to put KD in there. Like, their youngest guys. So, like, bringing in Barnes, Zaza, JaVale, David. Like, those are 4 dudes. And they still had Sean Livingston off the bench. Like, and they had Andre Iguodala. It's just when you looked at this team, their youngest guys were Kevon Looney, who was 21, who wasn't really, like, he's just starting out, and Patrick McCaw, who was 22 or 21 as well at the time. I think Kevon was like 20. McCaw was 21. Then you had Damian Jones, who was also like 21. And then those were your 3 youngest dudes, and those were the bottom of the bench. Your 4th youngest guy was James Michael McAdoo, who at the time was like 24. And he was like kind of playing, but not really. He was end of the bench. And then the 5th youngest guy at the time was like 25, turning 26, and Ian Clark. And then you had the Steph Curry, Clay, and Draymond and all of them, and they were like in their late 20s. So it's just, you should have a veteran team. It just doesn't make sense.